Mic check, mic check, mic check. All praise to the Most High. We good, baby. We good. Okay. Shalom, Israel. Happy Sabbath. All praise to the Most High. We made it to another one. So tonight we're gonna do something a little different, slightly different. You know, a lot of my classes are spiritual, character, virtue based. But tonight I decided let's talk doctrine. Let's talk some understanding. Granted, all of our classes is understanding, but y'all get what I'm saying, right? So tonight we're gonna get into Genesis chapter 1. Understanding Genesis chapter 1, right? Let's go to 2 Timothy. Let's go to my second precept. We're going to just hit the second precept today. We want Proverbs for you today.
This is the book of 2 Timothy, chapter 4 and verse 3. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lusts shall they heap to themselves teachers, having itching ears, and they shall turn away their ears from the truth, and shall be turned unto fables.
Right, so same thing. Even when you look at like a Genesis chapter 1, that can go for those that don't believe the Bible at all. And you see Genesis 1 break down the whole creation process, and you got people that say, no, it wasn't that, it was science. That could go with individuals who read Genesis chapter 1 and have a whole different wild understanding. The Lord makes things simple. A lot of things ain't that deep. The Lord makes it's simple, but it's simple to who he allows it to be simple to. It's simple, but it's only simple to those that he gives the understanding to, right? A lot of times I've realized when we get into the more, the more arbitrary books, like Genesis, where it's a lot more analogy, it's a lot more allegory, things get spooky. That's the best way I can say. Things get spooky. A lot of times the Bible is a lot cleaner and a lot simpler than what we make it. So I want to get into the book of Genesis. And before I get into the book of Genesis, actually, so Genesis, let's go to it. Genesis 1 and 1. Let's go to Genesis chapter 1 and verse 1. Let's deal with it real quick.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth.
In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. That is what the word Genesis means, right? Do me a favor. Let's go to the PowerPoint really quickly. Genesis means the beginning, right? The Hebrew word for Genesis is Ra'ashia or Bereshith. Well, Bereshith is in the beginning or the beginning. Beginning is Rashit or Rashiath, right? Go to the next slide. So here is the actual Hebrew word. It's Ra, as you can see at the bottom where it says Strong's definition. Ra, A, Sha, Ya, Ha. Ra'ashia, right? And it says from the same of age 70 to 18, the first in place, in time, in order, or rank. Specifically, a first fruit, the beginning, the chiefest, the first fruit, the first part, the first time, or the principal thing. So the word Genesis, you can bring it back to me. So the word Genesis, the word beginning means Ra'ashiath. Excuse me, the word Genesis, the word Ra'ashiath means beginning, first, right? Why did I bring that up? Because people ask, well, if God was in the beginning, who created God? What created God? And that's a good question. And I've seen a lot of people lose their faith based off of that question. I've seen a lot of people lose their faith based off that one question. Who is God's mama and daddy? Who created God if God created everything? So Genesis is the beginning. What was before the beginning? Let's go to Isaiah 43 and 13. Let's talk about it really quick. Isaiah chapter 43 and verse 13.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 43 and verse 15.
So I want to grab a couple of witnesses to this particular point. Isaiah 43 and verse, what did I say, 14?
15. We said it
13.
Book of Isaiah, chapter 43, verse 13. Yea, before the day was, I am he.
It says, before the day ever was, I am he. Come on.
And there is none that can deliver out of mine hand.
Right. So it's telling you, before there was a day, before the days were created, I'm the Lord. I am he. Go to Psalms chapter 90. There's a reason why I'm setting it up like this. So before the first day was ever established, guess what? I was him. I was Himothy. I was he. Psalms chapter 90. I was here already, right? Psalms chapter 90. Let's get some reiteration. 90 and verse 3.
This is the book of Psalm, chapter 90 and verse 3.
Come on.
Thou turnest man to destruction, and sayest, return, ye children of men.
Verse 2, my bad.
Verse 2.
Let's start at 1. Let's get 1 and 2.
The book of Psalm, chapter 90, verse 1. Lord, thou hast been our dwelling place in all generations.
You have always been our dwelling place, Yahweh. Come on.
Before the mountains were brought forth.
Come on.
Or even thou hast formed the earth.
Or ever thou hast formed the earth. Come on.
And the world.
Come on.
Even from everlasting to everlasting. Thou art God.
He said before the mountains was formed, before the world was formed, before the earth was formed. Because the world and the earth are two different things. A lot of people are like, what the hell you mean? Because Israel is the world. Matter of fact, technically speaking, you read Hebrews chapter 1, it says Christ created the worlds, right? So it's more than one world. World doesn't literally mean the what do you call it? The physical earth. That's why he made the distinction. Before the world was created and before the earth was created, you was our habitation. You are from everlasting to everlasting, Lord. Give me one more. Let's go to Isaiah 40 and verse 28. Isaiah chapter 40. We're going back to Isaiah 40.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 40. Is it 28?
And verse 28.
And verse 28. Hast thou not known? Hast thou not heard? That the everlasting God,
the everlasting power, what?
The Lord,
Yahweh, come on.
The creator of the ends of the earth,
the creator of all things, come on.
Fainteth not,
come on.
Neither is weary.
Read.
There is no searching of his understanding.
Now, I want to clear something up so there's no confusion. Christ created everything, and we read it in the New Testament that the Father created everything through Christ. That's why I said Christ created the worlds. But ultimately, it was the Most High's doing, because when you read in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was without form or void. God said, let there be light. God said something and it happened. The word of God is what acted on all of these things. John 1 and 1. In the beginning was the word was with God, the word was God. And without God, nothing was formed, so on and so forth. The Most High God utilized Christ, which is the word of God, to create everything. Simple, right? I just wanted to touch that first before somebody clip it up. See, these Israelites, they be contradicting themselves. One minute they say the Lord created things. Next minute they say Jesus created everything. But then when we say Jesus is God, they say, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the Lord utilized Christ to create everything. I just wanted to clear that up real quick. So, Isaiah 40 and verse 28, it says, the Lord is from everlasting. Psalms 90, from everlasting, before everything was created. So now the question is, before we get into the beginning, what was before the beginning? What was before the beginning? Who created God? For those of you out there in the World Wide Web, online, listening and watching, we're going to get some understanding of what God is, who the Lord Yahweh is, right? Let's go take me to the PowerPoint. Actually, wait, do I want to go to the PowerPoint? I do. Let's go to the PowerPoint real quick. Let's hit the next slide. Give me Exodus 6 and 3 real quick. Let's get some understanding on the Lord.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 6 and verse 3. And I appeared unto Abraham, unto Isaac, and unto Jacob, by the name of God Almighty, but by my name Yahweh,
But by my name, Yahweh, come on.
was I not known to them.
Right? So now it was a question that was being posed to Moses. We've already proven this. You can go back to Genesis. You know, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob knew his name was Jehovah or Yahweh, right? So the purpose was, what is the name of the Most High God? Jehovah or Yahweh? This is very important to know because then you'll understand who created God. Jehovah, the existing one. This is the biblical usage. The proper name of the one true God, unpronounced except with the vowel pointings of H136. Here's the definition. Jehovah, the self-existent or eternal. Jehovah, the quote-unquote Jewish national name of God, Jehovah the Lord, compared to H3050, H3069. His name literally means, you can bring it back to me, his name literally means self-existent and eternal. That's why they say he's from everlasting to everlasting. Now, sometimes that's hard to fathom from a human's perspective, right? But when we understand what God is, God is what you call a spirit. Some people call it a spirit. Some people call it a vibe. Some people call it energy. God is a spirit or a form of energy. He is the energy that embodies everything in the universe, but everything on the earth, right? Let's get an understanding about spirits or energy. Take us back to the PowerPoint so we can understand this. Next slide. This is from Khan Academy. I might have another one on here as well, but this is from Khan Academy. I know I have a few other slides, at least in my folder, that explains this. This is referred to as the law of thermodynamics. The first law of thermodynamics states that energy cannot be created or destroyed, only converted from one form to another. Why is that important? Because if God is a spirit, or if God is energy, energy cannot be created or destroyed. Who created God? Energy has always been, from the beginning of time, energy was here. There was always some form of energy from the beginning to before the beginning of time. Since everlasting to everlasting, it was always here. Take us to the next slide. From British Broadcasting Network, Science Focus. We are taught at school that energy can't be created, merely converted from one form to another. But at the birth of the universe, that is, everything, so the birth of everything, the energy needed for the quote-unquote Big Bang must have come from somewhere. So they're saying, well, where did this energy come from? What created this energy? Watch this. Many cosmologists think its origin lies in the so-called quantum uncertainty, which is known to allow energy to emerge literally from nowhere. So essentially they're saying, I don't know. I know that before time began, energy was here. Before there was a such thing as time, that energy was here. So Yahweh has always been here. People refer to the Big Bang. They say, you can bring it back to me really quick. People refer to the Big Bang, right? Actually, I'm going to read this last piece, but you can still bring it back to me. What isn't clear, however, is why this cosmic energy persisted long enough to drive the Big Bang. Right now, people say, oh, the Big Bang created everything. Essentially, what the Big Bang was a point in the universe before the universe was the universe. It was a point in space without time where there was a very strong amount of energy. And that strong amount of energy, that high energy dense point got stronger and stronger and stronger until that one little area, quote unquote, could not contain this energy, and a cosmic explosion happened. That cosmic explosion happened, creating matter. Matter was created and eventually formed the stars, the galaxies, and then through millions of years, evolution happened, the earth was created. All of a sudden, the earth was able to sustain life form. Life form was created. Then came, some people say it was the toad, some people say it was an amoeba or a bacteria or some type of, what do they call it? Prehistoric type of bacteria that eventually evolved into a human being. All of that, right? But it's not that, it's really not that deep. The Bible tells you how everything was created. So Genesis 1, we breaking this down right now through science. So who created God? God was always here. Even science shows you that God was always here, because science tells you that energy was always here. Where did energy come from? The cosmic uncertainty. That's the scientific way of saying, shit, we don't know. But we know that it came from outer space somewhere, but we just uncertain. You know what? Let's call it the cosmic uncertainty. That's what happened, right? Now, I want to get something. That coincides with what we're talking about right now. Go back to the PowerPoint. Let's go to the next slide. Salakia, excuse me. Let's go to the next slide. This is from a lecture from Stephen Hawking, the Pontifical Academy of Science. It was at a conference in the Vatican in 1981 that I first put forward the suggestion, this is Stephen Hawking, that maybe time and space together formed a surface that was finite in size, but did not have any boundary or edge. Together with James Hartle from the University of California, I worked out the physical conditions of the early universe must have. If space-time had no boundary in the past, our model became known as the no boundary proposal. It says that when we go back toward the beginning of our universe, space and time become fuzzy and cap off, somewhat like the South Pole on the surface of the earth. Asking what came before the Big Bang is meaningless, according to the no boundary proposal, because there is no notion of time available to refer to. It would be like asking what is south of the South Pole. Why does that matter? Let's go to Peter real quick. Let's go to Peter, 2 Peter. Second Peter 3. Let's read verse 8.
This is the book of 2 Peter chapter 3 and verse 8. But beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing.
Come on.
That one day is with the Lord as 1,000 years.
Come on.
And 1,000 years as one day.
So what it's saying is God is not confined to time. The Most High God is not confined to time. We are confined to time. All of the creation is confined to time. But what does Stephen Hawking say? He said our model became known as the no boundary proposal. It says that when we go back toward the beginning of our universe, space and time become fuzzy and it caps off. So when we get to the very beginning point, we don't know what happened before that because there was no time at that point. But you know what was there? Energy. You know what that energy was? The Most High God. Seems fairly simple. Who created God? He was always there. Who created God? What you talk about? Energy has always been there. Who created God? The cosmic uncertainty. The cosmic, I don't know. Like that's who created God, right? Now, I wanted to start that off before we get into the beginning because we needed to understand what happened before the beginning. The Lord has always been here. From everlasting to everlasting, Yahweh has been here. Now, let's go to Genesis chapter 1. Let's start to bust down this chapter. Genesis chapter 1. Let's start at verse 1.
The book of Genesis, chapter 1 and verse 1.
Come on.
In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void.
Come on.
And darkness was upon the face of the deep.
Come on.
And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters.
So let's go to Jeremiah chapter 4 and verse 23. It says, the earth was without form and void. Right? Go to Jeremiah 4 and 23. Let's read that. What'd I say?
I thought you said 24.
No. 4 and 23.
This is the book of Jeremiah chapter 4 and verse 23. Truly in vain is salvation hoped for from the hills, and from the multitude of mountains. Truly in the Lord our God is the salvation of Israel.
That's 4 and 23?
Salakia, that's
3 and 23. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, he ain't stopped me, man. I ain't see how this is relevant. 4 and 23.
Jeremiah 4 and 23, Salakia. I beheld the earth, and lo, it was without form and void.
So the scriptures tell us, this was the Lord talking. He said, I started the creation, and I looked at everything, and lo, it was without form and it was void. Go ahead.
And the heavens, and they had no light.
And the heavens, and there was no light. So it was dark, it was without form, it was void, it was empty, right? Now, go back to Genesis chapter 1. All right. And, I'm sorry, go to Wisdom of Solomon. We ain't get there, I'm jumping the gun. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 11. So the earth was without form and void. So let's see what was going on. Let's get some understanding. Come on. Chapter 11, verse 17.
This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 11 and verse 17. For the almighty hand that made the world of matter without form.
So the almighty hand that did what?
Made the world of matter.
Made the world of matter. Come on.
Without form.
Come on.
Wanted not means to send among them a multitude of bears or fierce lions.
Right. So we want to deal with the point that it referred to as the almighty hand, the all-powerful hand that created the world. What did it say? The world of matter?
Of matter without form.
Of matter without form. We got to deal with that first, right? Try to break this down piece by piece. Let's go to the PowerPoint. Next slide. What is? Wait. Go to the next slide. I have them backwards. Go down one. Yeah. Then we're gonna go back up. Matter is anything that takes up space and can be weighed. In other words, matter has volume and mass. There are many different substances or types of matter in the universe. This is from the University of Hawaii at Manoa. This is from Khan Academy, just below it. What is called matter? The term matter is referred to anything that occupies space and has mass. In other words, the quote-unquote stuff that the universe is made of. All matter is made up of substances called elements, which have specific chemical and physical properties and cannot be broken down into other substances through regular chemical reactions. So, the Lord created the earth. The Lord created everything, and it was without form and it was void. So what was done at this point? What had happened was, actually, let's go to the next one so we can get some understanding. Go up one. Element. From BYJU, or Byju's, which is, actually, let me get you guys can know where I'm getting this information from. I had to Google what these people were. Byju's is an Indian multinational education and technology company. Just just so you know what it is, right? It says, with a holistic approach towards education, the app makes learning interactive, adaptive, personalized through videos, games, quizzes. So it's almost like a Khan Academy, but it's East Indian. That's essentially what it is. It's an educational site. So that's what Byju's is. And it's explaining to us what an element is. So we're understanding what matter and elements are, because this is very important. An element is a substance whose atoms all have the same number of protons. Another way of saying this is that all atoms of a given element have the same number of protons. Elements are the simplest chemical form and thus cannot be broken down through chemical reactions. So what are elements? Hydrogen, oxygen, chlorine, or is it chloride? CO, chloride, Na, which is sodium, K, which is potassium. These are elements. Uranium, right, gold. These are all elements. Now, hey, the Bible is chemistry. That's the thing. Now, definition of element. This is from the National Cancer Institute. This is a .gov website. A basic part of a whole. In chemistry, refers to a simple substance that cannot be broken down into smaller parts or changed into another substance. So the exact same thing. The basic part of an element is an atom, which contains protons, neutrons, and electrons. All atoms of an element have the same number of protons. Now, bring it back to me really quickly. Let's read Genesis chapter 1, and let's read 1 and 2 again.
This is the book of Genesis chapter 1 and verse 1. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth.
So we hear God created the heaven and the earth, and we're like, oh, the heavens were created, the earth is there now, the world has come together, all of that. It's there already. No. Read on.
And the earth was without form.
Come on.
And void.
Come on.
And darkness was upon the face of the deep.
This is very important to understand, because that's why we read Wisdom of Solomon 11. It said he created, read that real quick, verse 17.
For the almighty hand that made the world of matter.
He made the world of matter.
Without form.
Without form. This is very important to understand. So the Lord didn't create the earth off the rip. The Lord created or brought forth the elements to create the earth. He brought forth the elements too. He brought hydrogen and oxygen, and you put that together, you have H2O, 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen. You now have water. Now the water was created. All of the different elements and minerals that the soil is created of, the Lord created all of those minerals. That's why the earth was without form and void at the time. He hadn't created the actual earth yet. The elements were just now being created. And we're going to get to that point later on toward the bottom of the lesson, so you can understand that too. We believe in what's called intelligent design, not some random spontaneity. We don't believe in just a random big bang. And we're going to get down to the scientific term at the end as well. So, the earth was without form and void. Come on.
And darkness was upon the face of the deep.
Come on.
And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters.
So the Spirit moved upon the face of the waters. We finna touch on that too. Come on.
And God said, let there be light.
Come on.
And there was light.
Now, I want to stop here really quickly, because there's an understanding that's going around that's just plain false. That's the best way I can say. It's false. It's wrong. People say right here, God said, let there be light, and there was light. Well, Jesus Christ was the light. So, you know, when scriptures say God said, let there be light, Christ was created right there. Biblically, that's wrong. Excuse me. Biblically, that's wrong. And what's crazy is a lot of people don't realize they contradict themselves, because they'll tell you Christ created everything. But in verse 1, it said the earth was created, or at least the elements. That was before, but that would be before Christ. If you're saying that scripture says let there be light is referring to Christ. Go to Colossians. Let's go to before we hit Colossians, go to John chapter 17, verse 5.
This is the book of John chapter 17 and verse 5. And now, O Father, Glorify thou me with thine own self,
Come on.
with the glory which I had with thee before the world was.
Before ever the world was. Glorify me with that. Remember, I had that glory before the world was. Remember, Genesis 1:1 said, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. But Christ just said, before any of that was created, I had glory with you. Drop down to verse 24.
Father, I will that they also, whom thou hast given me, be with me where I am, that they may behold my glory, which thou hast given me. For thou lovest me before the foundation of the world.
So again, before the foundation, before anything was created, before we did anything, I was there. As a matter of fact, we all teach that Christ is the one that created everything. Christ created the worlds. Colossians chapter 1. Verse 16. I just want to deal with this first and foremost.
This is the book of Colossians, chapter 1 and verse 16. For by him were all things
Start at verse 15. I'm sorry.
Verse 15. Who is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of every creature.
So we all know that this is referring to Christ. I think it's up at like verse 11 that it clears up for you who it actually is. But go ahead.
For by him were all things created.
Come on.
That are in heaven and that are in earth.
Come on.
Visible and invisible.
Come on.
Whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. All things were created by him and for him.
Oh, wait. Read that again.
All things were created by him and for him.
And then read verse 15.
Who is the image of the invisible God?
And what?
The firstborn of every creature.
The firstborn of every creature and the person that created everything. Dominions, thrones, all things. Let me see. Let me read 16 from the top. For by him were all things created that are in heaven and that are in earth. Everything that is visible and invisible, whether they be thrones, dominions, principalities, or powers. All of these things was created by him and for him. Verse 17.
And he is before all things.
He is what?
Before all things.
He's before all things. Come on.
And by him all things consist.
This is very important to understand because a lot of people teach that, oh, yeah, that light right there is Christ. No, it's not. Christ created that light. Christ created that light. It's no shade to the brothers. I just pray to the Most High that there's some understanding that's given. A lot of times we don't have to be too deep. We don't. The Bible says what it says. I don't have to try to make it too complex and too mystical. I don't need to do that. The Bible says what it says. So I just wanted to clear that up. That right there is not dealing with Christ. Genesis 1 and 3 is not talking about Christ. Christ was the one doing all the building right now through the Most High God. The Most High God said, do whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. And when it said God said, that means the word was going forth. That's simple. And Christ was the word of God. So Christ got to work. It's that simple. Let's go back to Genesis chapter 1. Verse 2.
Genesis 1, verse 2. And the earth was out without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters.
Come on.
And God said, let there be light, and there was light.
Now, let's get into what that light was. Take us to the PowerPoint. So, next one. Is that the one? Is that the one? Yes, that's what I want. So, this word here, when you go into the Bible, Genesis 1 and 2, it says, the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters, moved upon the face of the elements. Moved is rachaf, right? And that word means to move, to flutter, or excuse me, The King James translates this word into shake, move, and flutter. It means to grow soft or to relax or to hover. By implication, to flutter, move, or shake. Now, from the Gesenius Hebrew and Chaldee lexicon, it says with the feeling of tender love, hence to cherish. Also with fear, to tremor, to tremble is what that word would mean. So when we read the scripture and it says the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the water or moved upon the elements, it wasn't just a float, it wasn't just a smooth hover. It said it shook, it trembled, it moved it violently. And then God said, let there be light. So that fluttering of the elements, that shaking and trembling of the elements is what created the light. Darash, what the hell are you talking about? Go to the next slide. Like a tremble, just like that. There's a reason, though. Watch this. From Europa.eu, right? The introduction to what is light. Because a lot of people think only the sun emits light. No, energy itself is light. It's on a radioactive spectrum. Sometimes it's visible light, sometimes it's invisible light. But energy itself is light. You don't need the sun to get light. A lot of people don't know that. But now, Lord willing, you're learning something. Electromagnetic radiation, such as light, is generated by, watch this, changes in movement, or what's that word? Vibration. So to tremble or to vibrate, it says light is generated by vibration of electrically charged particles. What are those electrically charged particles? Atoms. What are atoms or what does a group of atoms form? An element. So the Spirit of God vibrated upon the elements, which created light. But we're going to continue to read on, of electrically charged particles such as parts of quote unquote heated molecules or electrons in what? Atoms. So the Spirit of God moved upon the elements, and that moving upon the elements created a light. We call that energy. This energy just happen to be visible, meaning it gives off a light on the radioactive spectrum. That's what it does, right? It says both processes play a role in the glowing filament of like incandescent lamps, whereas latter occurs in fluorescent lamps. So they're giving you an example on a smaller scale, but from the quote-unquote Big Bang, but from the Most High, we got light through him moving on the elements. Go to the next one. 3.1, Electromagnetic radiation such as light generated by the change in movement or the vibration of electrically charged particles such as parts of heated molecules or electrons and atoms. Electromagnetic radiation extends from gamma rays and X-rays through to radio waves and to long radio waves. This is often referred to as the electromagnetic spectrum, which is shown below, modified by the American Chemical Association. Go to the next slide. From Northwestern College's website. It says the electromagnetic spectrum. Electromagnetic radiation is made when an atom absorbs energy. The absorbed energy causes one or more electrons to change their locale within the atom. So now there's particles in the atom that are moving. When the electron returns to its original position, an electromagnetic wave is produced. So the vibration causes the electron to move off the atom and then come back down. When the electron comes back down, it emits a light. So that vibration that God did created light. That's essentially what it's. I'm going to simplify it for you. That's essentially what happened. When God said, let there be light, it was through that movement or that tremor or that trembling or that vibration of the elements, because the earth hadn't been created yet. It's that the world was without form and void. It was just elements that were out there. We're going to see later on when the Lord started to actually bring it together. Let's bring it back to us. So let there be light. That's what the light is. It wasn't talking about Christ. It was talking about literal light. Let's read that from the top, verse 3.
Book of Genesis chapter 1 verse 3. And God said, let there be light, and there was light.
Come on.
And God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness.
Come on.
And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night.
So the sun and the moon wasn't created yet, but there was a separation from night and day. The elements had been moved up on to give forth a light. Then there was still darkness there, and the Lord made that separation and that distinction and said, this is day, this is night. Eventually he created a gas ball known as the sun to govern the day and the night. Right? Read on.
And the evening and the morning were
Right. Where are we? We're right here. Got that. Let's go to 2nd Ezra chapter 6. 2nd Ezra in the Apocrypha. I don't went way past that. I don't know what I'm tripping. 2nd Ezra chapter 6. Let's start at verse 36. We're going to read down to 40.
This is the book of 2nd Ezra chapter 6 and verse
36.
36. And in the 8th night was my heart vexed within me again, and I began to speak before the Most High. For my spirit was greatly set on fire, and my soul was in distress.
Come on.
And I said, O Lord, thou spakest from the beginning of the creation, even the first day.
You say you spoke from the beginning of the creation, even day one. Come on.
And sayest thus, let heaven and earth be made.
Come on.
And thy word was a perfect work.
And your word was a perfect work. Come on.
And then was the spirit and darkness silence.
It said, and then was the spirit and darkness and silence. Come on.
Were on every side.
Was everywhere. Come on.
The sound of man's voice was not yet formed.
Come on.
Then commandest thou a fair light to come forth of thy treasures.
Come on.
That thy work might appear.
It said, then a light came forth. So it was dark. It was quiet. Then all of a sudden, I don't know if you guys have ever paid attention to like earthquakes and certain I guess storms before they actually hit. The sound that comes from those vibrations and rumblings first. I could only imagine that's because he said it was silent at first. And you said, let there be light. Mind you, there had to be a fierce trembling to create the vibration, to create the light. There was probably some type of crazy, godlike, deep, thunder, galactic type sound that created that light. When God said, let there be light. But Ezra was saying, even way back when, this was the situation. I understood that there was darkness and silence all over the place. Then through your word, when the sound, the vibration of your sound came about on the elements, light was created, right? Let's go to let's go back to Genesis. Chapter 1.
Beginning at verse 5.
Is that where we stop?
Okay.
Let's go.
And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night.
Come on.
And the evening and the morning were the first day.
So the very first day, the light was created. The earth was without form and void. All of the elements were created. Matter was created. And then the Lord moved upon the elements and created light, made a distinction between light and dark, which shows you that there's more than just the sun that creates light as far as from the elements, right? Because we know that the sun is ultimately a elemental gas ball. But there's more than just that creates light, right? We just read about that here. So the Lord created light in that fashion, right? Verse 6, let's go.
And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters.
Come on.
And let it divide the waters from the waters.
Now, that's tough. Read that again.
And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters. And let it divide the waters from the waters.
Let's read on.
And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so.
Now, that's very important. because a lot of us that never really clicked to us, right? It said that there's a firmament. The firmament is, take me to the thing. The PowerPoint, please. Next slide. Okay, so when we look up the word firmament, raquia or rakia, right? Or rakayai. That's essentially the Hebrew letters. How to pronounce it, I'm not 1,000% sure, but rakia is the best way that I would say it's pronounced. That's the word firmament in the Hebrew. It means extended surface, solid expanse, firmament, expanse, flat as base or support, firmament of a vault of heaven supporting the waters above. Considered by Hebrews as solid and supporting, quote unquote, the waters. From the Gesenius Hebrew Chaldee lexicon, it says, the firmament of heaven spread out like a hemisphere above the earth, like a splendid and pellucid sapphire. The Hebrews believe there was a heavenly ocean, right? The definition is an expanse, the firmament, apparently visible arc of the sky. We call it the atmosphere. They call it the firmament, right? Now, for those of you who don't know, the atmosphere is actually, for lack of better words, not completely solid, but solid. That's why people say, oh, we're creating holes in the atmosphere. If the atmosphere wasn't something that was to a degree solid, we wouldn't be able to do that, right? So it said that the firmament, which is this expanse, or what else did they call it? This arc, or this surface that separates the waters from the waters, this firmament did just that, divided the waters from the waters, right? It said, and let the firmament be in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. So what it's saying is that there is water in the sky, there is water in below the firmament in what we call the air. That's this thing called mists. That's this thing called clouds. All of that is water. Then you have the actual water in the earth, or on the earth rather, right? But now watch this. Let's go to the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 4. 2nd Ezra, chapter 4, and let's read verse 7.
This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 4, and verse 7. And he said unto me, if I should ask thee how great dwellings are in the midst of the sea, or how many springs are in the beginning of the deep, or how many springs are above the firmament, or which are outgoings of paradise.
Right. So we see here, let's read it again. It says, and he said unto me, if I should ask thee how great dwellings are in the midst of the sea, or how many springs are in the beginning of the deep, or how many springs are above the firmament. So we see what the angel is saying is there are springs above this expanse, this quote unquote solid, the solid atmosphere, where there's basically pockets of water. There's a bunch of springs above the atmosphere, just like there are springs below the atmosphere. And he said, if I told you to measure that, Ezra, would you be able to do that? He was, no, I couldn't. But the whole point is to show you that, biblically speaking, we see that in the beginning, the Lord said, create a firmament. That firmament is going to separate the waters from the other waters that are below, right? Go to, let's see what that looks like. Genesis 2. Let me show you something. And then we're going to go to jump over to Genesis 7. Genesis 2, let's read verses 5 and verses 5 and 6.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 2 and verse 5. And every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field, it grew. For the Lord God had not caused it to rain upon the earth.
So the firmaments weren't opening up yet from the sky. The springs in the sky were not, that wasn't a thing yet, right? Read on.
The Lord God had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground.
Right, come on.
But there went up a mist from the earth.
There did what?
Went up a mist from the earth.
That is also the waters. So it separated the waters from the waters. A mist, or also known as dew, or also known as fog, was created. Again, that's a form of waters. The waters were separated in levels, essentially. The waters above the firmament, below the firmament, then actually inside or beneath the earth, so to speak, right? Go ahead.
And watered the ground.
No, that's all I needed. But there went up a mist from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground. So we see that there's levels even to the water. Now, let me see before I move on. Oh, I'm slipping. Take me back to the PowerPoint real quick. Oh, okay, my bad. Next slide. So Shemayim, that's the heavens, right? So heaven, air, or astrologers with, right? That's the KJV translates this word in these particular matters. Now, outline of biblical usage: heaven, heavens, sky, visible heavens, as abode of the stars, as the visible universe, the sky, the atmosphere, etc. Heaven as the abode of God. Here's the actual definition from an unused root, meaning to be lofty. The sky as loft, the dual, perhaps alluding to the visible arc in which the clouds move, as well as to the higher ether where the celestial bodies revolve. Air, astrologers, or heavens, right? So it said in Genesis chapter 1, and God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters. Shemayim is waters. And divide the waters from the waters. And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. Let me do this. You can bring it back to me real quick, Malachi, before I misquote. Where we at? I think it is. I think it's from verse 8. Yeah, that's Mayim. Mayim is waters. Shemayim is the heavens. Okay, I have to double check that. Shemayim is the heavens. Let me go here. Verse 8. Yeah, Shemayim. Okay. I just have to double check that because I drew a blank for a moment. So it says in verse 8, it says, and God called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day. So we see that Shemayim, it said it was also referred to as, where is it? The visible arc in which the clouds move, right? So we saw that the firmament was supposed to be this surface or this expanse that separates the waters above from the waters below. The heavens, the heavens were referred to as the clouds in the sky near the ark. So there was a separation of the waters from above the firmament and below. This is the clouds, this is fog, this is mist. So the waters were separated from the waters, right? But now watch this. It said, and God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so, right? Let's go to Genesis 7. Genesis chapter 7. And then we're going to bring it back to the PowerPoint. Genesis chapter 7, and let's read verse 11.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 7 and verse 11. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the second month, 17th day of the month, the same day, all the fountains of the great deep broken up.
So all the fountains of the great deep were broken up. So that's talking about on the actual earth. All of the geysers and everything else, the earth would split in certain areas and the water would begin to flood the earth. But what else happened?
And the windows of heaven were opened.
And the what?
The windows of heaven were
The
opened.
firmament opened up.
And the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights.
And it began to rain. Now, mind you, remember we read earlier in Genesis 2, it never rained. It said a mist would come and water the ground. Nobody was working for, what do you call it? Working for their vegetation, working for their crops. That wasn't what was going on. That wasn't what was going on. It was just the mist would come up on the ground and water it, right? So now the windows of the great deep opened up. Now people will say, well, you need clouds in order for it to rain. That's not exactly true. Take us back to the PowerPoint real quick. Next slide. There's this thing called serene. Serene in meteorology is known as fine rain falling after sunset from a sky in which no clouds are visible. Here's another definition. Fine rain falling from a clear sky after sunset, especially in the tropics. So there's not always a need for clouds to be visible in order for rain to happen. And in this particular time, it said the firmaments opened up and those waters that were separated from the waters below started to pour down, and that's when the flood happened, right? So go back to Genesis 1. So we're getting an understanding of what was going on in this time. So the firmament was created. The firmament is essentially an expanse, a clear surface, almost like a glass ceiling type deal that's separating the waters from the waters. That's essentially what it is. Let's read verse 9.
The book of Genesis chapter 1 and verse 9.
Now we're going to get into the act. Let's read it.
And God said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so.
So what just happened? Remember, he created the heaven and the earth in verse 1. But right here is where he actually formed the earth. He said, I'm taking all of the water. So we've created essentially an atmosphere, a surface, an expanse, a glass ceiling, whatever you want to call it. We've created that. And now we're taking all of the water, or all of the elements that make water, we're bringing it into one place, and we're also bringing forth earth, or rock, or foundation, the ground, which again is elements within itself. So we're bringing all of the elements together, the ones that form water and the ones that form soil and grass and vegetation. And now we're going to put them, what did it say? It said, and let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear, and it was so. So God has now brought everything together into what we now call planet Earth. That's what just happened right there. But he created it in verse 1. No. He had set the stage. The elements were now created, or the elements were now out there to start to be brought together so we can eventually get here to this earth. So the earth wasn't created yet until, what was this? We on what? Let me see, the evening and the morning. This is what, day 3? Yeah, we pulling up on day 3 though, right? Okay, just making sure. Now, when he brought everything together, let's see what else happened. Go ahead.
Verse 10. Let me finish verse 9. And God said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear, and it was so.
Come on.
Verse 10. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters called he seas.
Come on.
And God saw that it was good. And God said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth. And it was so.
Go ahead.
And the earth brought forth grass and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind. And God saw that it was good.
So now we have the creation of vegetation. Again, we're going to get to the point at the very end, but just pay attention to what's going on. So, all of the elements were created. Then light was created. Then it was divided, day and night. Then the firmaments were created, which was going to be needed anyway. Then after the firmaments were created to separate the water from the water, we now bring the earth together. Now the earth is created. We have the firmament, also known as the atmosphere, to keep the certain elements that we need to sustain our life. That's all here in the heck do they call it? The biosphere. That's now here. And now we have plant life and vegetation. And all of these seeds can help bring forth other life. That's science too. Let me see if is that my next slide? Because if not, then I'm going to have to wait. It is. Oh, all praises. Take me to the PowerPoint. What is this talking about? Because a lot of people say, oh, ain't no science in the Bible. This a make-believe book. Bro, this is breaking down. What people call science, this is breaking it down to a T. They just didn't use scientific terms. They simplified it. All these other terms will start coming till later. Go to the next slide for me. No, next one. Oh, Salakia, yeah, next one. So, the law of biogenesis from the law about, definition example by Biology Online. Biogenesis law states unequivocally, that means for certain, 1,000%, that life creates life, and life can only come from pre-existing life or other living things and not from non-life. That's why the scripture said what it said here. I told the vegetation to bring forth, I told the earth to bring forth grass and herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after its kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth. And the earth brought forth these things, herb yielding seed after its kind, and the tree yielding fruit. These trees, these herbs can only make other trees and herbs because it's a living organism. The Lord created these living organisms to now create what's called oxygen. You're going to see what's going on right now. This is why I say there had to be a creator. It had to be some type of intelligent design. Because now everything got put together. The atmosphere was created so everything could get put together. Now we have a biosphere. Now that everything's put together, the herbs, the trees, the grass, those things that produce oxygen are now being placed on the earth, right? But watch this. Go to before we move on, because before I forget, let's go to I don't need that. Let's go to 2 Ezra 6, verse 42 through 43.
This is the book of 2 Ezra, chapter 6, verse 42. Upon the third day, thou didst command that the water should be gathered in the seventh part of the earth.
So we're on the third day. The water was to be gathered. Go ahead.
6 parts hast thou dried up.
Come on.
And kept them, to the intent that of these some being planted of God and tilled might serve thee.
Come on.
For as soon as thy word went forth, the work was made.
As soon as your word went forth, that work was made. That earth was created so that the plants and the fruits and everything else could be there. Go to I'm sorry, read verse 44.
For immediately there was a great innumerable fruit,
Come on.
and many and divers pleasures for tastes,
Come on.
and flowers of unchangeable color,
Uh-huh.
and odors of wonderful smell.
Uh-huh.
And this was done on the third day.
Imagine the beauty of that, bro. Like, we can't even comprehend that because we live in the damn city. It said, man, these flowers were beautiful, the unchanging colors. It said the smells were wonderful. It was diverse pleasures and tastes. That thing had to be beautiful. But the Lord created that on the third day, right? Let's drop down to verse 14. I'm sorry, Genesis 1 and 14. I'm sorry. Wait, are we at 14? Yeah, we're at 14. Go ahead.
Verse 13, I'll read 13.
Let's read
And
verse
the
13.
evening and the morning were the third day.
So now the third day is done. The elements were created. It was dark. Then light was created through the moving upon the elements. Then all of the waters were brought into one place. The dome or the atmosphere, or whatever you want to call it, was created. The earth was now established. Herbs, fruits, vegetation, the biosphere essentially is now created. Now we're moving on to day 4. Come on.
And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years.
Right.
And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so.
So now there are specific lights made for the earth. That's the sun and the moon and the stars. Go ahead.
And God made 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night.
That's the sun and the moon. You can read that in 2 Ezra chapter 6 and verse 45. Go ahead.
He made the stars also. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good.
And God saw that it was good. Oh no, I'm gonna get to that. Okay, I thought I skipped something. Let's go to. Yeah, let's get it. Let's go to Psalms 136 and verse 7. Psalm chapter 136 and verse 7.
This is the book of Psalm, chapter 136 and verse 7. To him that made great lights, for his mercy endureth forever. The sun to rule by day, for his mercy endureth forever. The moon and the stars to rule by night, for his mercy endureth forever.
Right, so it's telling us to give thanks to the Lord for everything that he's done. But it's telling you that he made the sun, he made the moon, he made the stars. They're referencing the creation, right? Let's go to Sirach chapter 43 and verse 2. We're going to read 2 through 7. Ecclesiasticus chapter 40 to 43. Start at verse 2.
The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 43, in verse 2. The sun, when it appeareth, declaring at his rising a marvelous instrument, the work of the Most High.
Right.
At noon it parcheth the country, and who can abide the burning heat thereof? A man blowing a furnace is in works of heat, but the sun burneth the mountain 3 times more. Breathing out fiery vapors and sending forth bright beams, it dimmeth the eyes.
Come on.
Great is the Lord that made it, and at his commandment it runneth hastily.
Let's talk about the beauty and the strength of the sun. That was created on the going into the 4th day, right? Go ahead.
Great is the Lord that made it, and at his commandment it runneth hastily.
Come on.
He made the noon also to serve in her season for a declaration of times and a sign of the world.
So the moon was created also to do what?
for a declaration of times and a sign of the world.
So they all have their purpose when they run their course. So the Lord had a reason why he created it, and there's an order established with it. Go ahead.
From the moon is the sign of feasts, a light that decreaseth in her perfection.
That decreaseth in her perfection, meaning when it's full, not decreaseth in her beginning, for those who say that the full moon is the new moon. That's not what it's saying. Go ahead.
The month is called after her name.
So the month is called after her name because month and moon are synonymous. Go ahead.
Increasing wonderfully in her changing.
So it starts at a certain level, and then it increases from there. So it's telling you here, just as the month increases in days, the moon phases increases in phases, for lack of better words. Go ahead.
Being an instrument of the armies above, shining in the firmament of heaven.
Right. So we see here, this is the beauty of the sun and the moon and essentially the stars, right? Go to, let's go back to Genesis chapter 1. Let's read verse 18 and 19.
Genesis 1 and 18. And to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the fourth day. And God said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life,
right,
and fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven. And God created great whales and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly, after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And God saw that it was good.
And God saw that it was good. So now, the elements were created, light was created, the firmament is created to separate the waters from the waters. The waters below the firmament were all brought together, and the earth was created. Then vegetation was created. Then the sun, the moon, and the stars were created. Now, that's a peculiar order. So the world had to be created and brought together first. Vegetation and everything was created. The sun, the moon, and the stars were now created to sustain that life in the biosphere. The trees, the fruit, the grass, so on and so forth, because some vegetation need light. Not all of it does, though, right? But here's the important thing. After that was created, and the sun, the moon, and the stars were created, because animals, life, human beings and animals, they need the sun, the moon, and the stars. So that was created, and then what was created? Actual physical animals were then created. Why? Because without the sun, the moon, and the stars, they would all die. So notice the order in which everything is being created. Each piece sequential, each piece to sustain the other. Right? Second Ezra, real quick, chapter 6. Verse 47. We're going to read 47 through 52.
This is the book of Second Ezra, chapter 6, and verse 47?
Yep.
47. Upon the fifth day thou sayest unto the seventh part, where the waters were gathered, that it should bring forth living creatures, fowls and fishes, and so it came to pass. For the dumb water and without life brought forth living things at the commandment of God, that all people might praise thy wondrous works.
Right. So now the Most High has created. It said the waters were dumb, meaning it was silent. It was silent. Wasn't no noise. It was quiet. Wasn't nothing going on. Then the Lord placed life into it. Go ahead.
Verse 49. Then didst thou ordain two living creatures. The one calleth Enoch, and the other Leviathan.
Go ahead.
And did separate the one from the other. And for the seventh part, namely where the water was gathered together, might not hold them both. Unto Enoch thou gavest one part, which was dried up, of the third day, and that he should dwell in the same part, wherein 1,000 hills.
Go ahead.
But unto Leviathan thou gavest the seventh part, namely the moist, and hast kept him to be devoured, of whom thou wilt and when.
Now, somewhere out there are two big, humongous creatures, I'll call them. Now, people will say, man, that's stupid, that's impossible. Listen here and listen closely. All of the things that people keep discovering in the ocean, and with everything that's been discovered, only about what? I think they said 5% or what? Man, I'm going to Google it right now for you. Something crazy like that. Watch this. I'm going to Google it for you right now. It says, although humans have been around for, quote unquote, nearly 200,000 years, we've only just scraped the surface of underwater exploration, with numbers varying slightly depending on which agency's data you look at. We've charted and mapped roughly 20% of the ocean and have only physically seen or been to 5%. Only 5% of the ocean. Now, mind you, the people that be in the ocean that like to go deep diving, they be seeing squids that's like 90 feet. Like, imagine what's way at the ocean floor where you can't reach, where the average person will be crushed from the pressure of the water. Think about that. Then the majority of the earth ain't been discovered. I mean, it hasn't been explored either. There are certain areas where you will get offed for going to that land. There are specific areas in the Amazon where people can't go there. There are certain areas, they look at them through like drones and stuff because they know they can't go there. There's a bunch of areas where you just cannot explore. The mystery behind the Bermuda Triangle. It's always some weird shenanigans going on over there. So you can't say that this ain't the case. The Bible says there are two animals or two creatures, and they so big that only one of them can be on the land and the other one has to be in the ocean. I guess we're going to find out soon. But all of that to say, when we're talking about creation, the Lord has created now the sea animals and the land animals, right? So, recap again. God created the heaven and the earth. Essentially, he created the elements. Then he created light. Then from light, he created, drawing a blank. Then he created the firmament. Then he brought the earth together because now it had an atmosphere, created the biosphere, the vegetation, the grass, everything can now live. Then the sun and the moon and the stars were created to sustain those things. Then animals are created because without the sun, the moon, and the stars, animals would die. So then the animals were created. The sun, the moon, and the stars are already there to sustain it. The vegetation is there to sustain it because now they have something to eat as well. Then mankind is created. Let's read about mankind. Let's go to Genesis chapter 1. Let's read 26 through 27.
This is the book of Genesis chapter 1, verses 26. And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him.
What?
Male and female created he them.
Remember what we was talking about earlier, Malachi? Before Adam and Eve, Genesis 1, male and female was created. See that? Go ahead. Verse 28.
And God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply.
Lay down with each other. Perform the law of biogenesis. Life can only come from life. Come on.
And replenish the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth.
Now mankind is created because mankind was to have dominion and rule over everything. Everything was created. Mankind was created last, expressed, you guys are the top of the food chain. You guys are to have dominion over everything, right? Go ahead.
And God, whatever.
Verse 29.
And God said, Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat, and to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life. I have given every green herb for meat, and it was so.
Come on.
And God saw everything that he made, and behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning, Salakia, were the sixth day.
So now we're on the sixth day. Now mankind was created. Now this is what, go back to the PowerPoint. This was the point that I was making, right? We're talking about intelligent design. This is how God works. Go to the next slide. This is from the University of Oregon. And you can just type in the anthropic principle. There's a number of articles that you can read on it, but I wanted to find something that was straight to the point. The anthropic principle usually divides into two types, weak and strong. The weak anthropic principle simply states that the current universe is of the form that allows intelligent observers. In other words, there is a right amount of complexity and time for intelligence to evolve. This is obviously true, and few people disagree with the formulation of the anthropic principle. The strong anthropic principle says that the universe has these conditions because it must have them in order to have intelligence, life, us. Our existence is the end goal of a plan. The strong form of anthropic principle goes against what's called the Copernican principle by insisting that we are special, an intellectual center of the universe. An intelligent species would be at their quote-unquote center because we exist and think, right? Bring it back to us. So there's something in science known as the anthropic principle, which essentially states that everything had to be placed in the right order in order for intelligent life form to sustain and to live. Now, I don't know about you, but if we're talking about creationism or intelligent design versus Big Bang and evolution, I'm going to bank on intelligent design, because here's the beauty of so-called science. Things don't become law or the rule until it's proven and replicated. Here's a question. Outside of this supposed Big Bang, whenever has a random cosmic or random radioactive explosion created intelligent life form? Whenever has that happened? But supposedly, it happened this one time. Now, mind you, I want to put this in. Now, here's the thing, right? I want to put this in a perspective for you, though, right? The complexity of the human body. Something as simple as the complexity of the human body. You have all of your vital organs right here. And all of your vital organs are covered by what? Your cage, your skeleton, your rib cage covers all of the vital organs. Your skeletal system, right? Your respiratory system, if you get hit in your heart or you skip a beat or whatever the case is, there's a lot of issues that comes with. The fact that you have 2 legs, 10 toes, because each digit serves a purpose, 10 fingers, opposable thumbs. The fact that your body pumps blood and oxygen through it. The fact that you have a spine that allows you to sit erect, that allows you to move. The fact that you have a brain with a central nervous system that is responsible for your motor skills. All of that happened by happenstance. By a random boom. The fact that life can come from life. I have yet to see life come from something that was not life. Like, I ain't never seen a file cabinet have a baby. Like, I've never seen a chair have another chair. Like, inanimate objects don't have inanimate objects. There has to be some type of life in each one of these things. But all of this comes from random? Think about that. Think about that. Gravity. Gravity has different levels on all these other planets, allegedly. I ain't never been there, so I don't know. But the fact that the gravity that we have here is not too heavy where it's smushing us, and not too light that we're all floating away. The fact that we have a biosphere, which goes into the intelligent creation of God. You see how he set up everything, right? He created the elements, then separated the light from the dark. Then he brought the earth together after the firmament was created, put it under the atmosphere, brought it all together, had herbs and fruits and all of that good stuff, then brought forth the sun, the moon, and the stars to sustain that, then brought forth the animals to graze off of it, because if he would have made the animals first, they would have died off. Then he created mankind to rule over all of that. That's random. That's the biosphere. You're absolutely right. The fact that the trees function in the matter that they function. They give us oxygen, we give them carbon dioxide. Just what they need to stay alive, and they give us what we need to stay alive. Just random. Just random. It just so happened to be random that God said that Adam was made from the dust of the ground. And all of the minerals that you find in the soil, you find in the human body. Just random. Just happened to happen. I don't know. But these are some. Go to Ecclesiasticus 33. We're about to be done. I thought this would be a little longer. See that? This was decent length. My brother Akshu said, "Man, I'm gonna be up till 3 a.m." All praises. This wasn't as long as I thought it would be. What I say, Sirach 33. I want to show you something. I don't know if I'm going to read the whole. We might have to read a decent amount of it. Ecclesiasticus chapter 33. We're going to start at verse 7.
This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 33, and verse 7. Why doth one day excel another? When, as all the light of every day in the year is of the sun.
So we're talking about the differences in the days. Come on.
By the knowledge of the Lord, they were distinguished.
So by the knowledge of the Lord, when he created everything, he also distinguished the days. This was by the knowledge and the wisdom of God. Come on.
And he altered seasons and feasts.
Come on.
Some of them hath he made high days, and hallowed them. And some of them he hath made ordinary days. And all men are from the ground. And Adam was created of earth.
Right.
And in much knowledge the Lord hath divided them, and made their ways diverse.
So even when he created mankind, he divided that up. So it wasn't just one slap across the board. He separated the way certain individuals would interact, or the ways that they would conduct themselves. All of this happened in creation when mankind was created and everything else was created. This was all through the knowledge of God. But again, somehow, some way, it was off some random stuff. But nah, Genesis 1 breaks down how everything was created, and science backs the Bible. We just showed you how science is backing everything that's in Genesis. Come on.
Some of them hath he blessed and exalted, and some of them hath he sanctified.
Jump over to, so I can get to the point. Verse 15. Nope, verse 14.
Good is set against evil, and life against death. So is the godly against the sinner, and the sinner against the godly.
There's a reason why he said this. Read on.
So look upon all the works of the Most High, and there are 2 and 2.
There are 2 and 2. Come on.
One against another.
That is very important to understand, because, again, that shows you the intelligence of the intelligent design. The balance. Exactly. Because it said the Lord created 2 and 2. That is the balance of the world and the balance of the universe. Think about it. Good and evil, night and day, light and dark, male and female. All of these things were created to balance each other out. By accident, though. By randomness, though. Genesis 1 tells you how the universe was created. Genesis 1 broke it all down for you. Science proved that Genesis 1 was valid. Science even proved the Bible. Science proved God, excuse me. Science proved that God existed. It was the Big Bang that created everything. What created the Big Bang? The cosmic uncertainty. You don't know. There's a gang of people raising their children. Now, here's the crazy part, though. But they refuse to accept the fact, just like we have faith in what we believe, that they are faith-based. But here's the thing. If I admit that, then I'm telling you that science is not a matter of fact. And science itself is predicated upon law and being a matter of fact. But if I say that, then I'm no better than you. And as a person who believes in science, I have to be better than you. That's why this screws them so bad. Because at the end, y'all reading the book and y'all from people that y'all don't even know and that wrote this book thousands of years ago that you can't prove their work. Oh, really? Let's talk about the hypocrisy there. So who wrote the information on the earth being the center of the universe at one point, or that you had the Big Bang at one point, or Hubble's theory, which is about 300 years old? Who wrote all that stuff? Men that you've never met, whose work you've never proven, but you take it as gospel. But you say that I'm acting off faith. Oh, I know that hurts. Oh, I know it hurts. Yeah, but you know what? So long as you got Israelites seeking out the understanding, you'll have somebody out there to answer these questions. The Bible told you how everything was created. We just broke down the creation in Genesis 1 to explain it. So when people say, so you telling me some random God just started, that's there, that's, yep, that's exactly what I'm telling you. Now let me show you in your science that that's exactly the case. So I pray to the Most High that there was some edification. I pray to the Lord that there was some understanding. And I pray, because sometimes even if it was one little piece of the lesson, like for example, like I said, a question that has shook a lot of people's faith, well, who created God? Because the human mind cannot fathom that something was here for eternity, right? But if you can give it to them in the what we call the white man science, if you can give it to them in science, for some weird reason, it's easier for them to take. Right. It's easier for them to comprehend, I guess, when you lay it out in a scientific term. Nobody created God. Well, how was that possible? Because in your mind, you look at him as like me, like a person, like flesh. I have to break down to you what a spirit even is. It's energy. It's not a physical being. So now that you understand energy, now I got to take it to you and show you that even science tells you that energy was never, it's always been here. So God has always been here because God is energy. And we are an extension. So even if you argue Big Bang, the Big Bang created everything, we can still call that God. You know why? Because from that one concentrated, strong point of energy, that expansion, that energy created all of these things. And guess what? We're all an expansion of God, an extension of God. So God created the earth. God is it. Scriptures say God, but we was made after God, his image. So we're an extension of God. So his energy, his spirit is flowing through us anyways. So guess what? Either way it go, you just prove the Bible. You still prove the Bible. But I pray to the Most High that there was some edification given forth. I pray to the Most High that if there was any doubt or anything as it pertained to something in this lesson, I pray to the Most High that it was cleared up. Y'all already know y'all can hit us up at reply@truenation.org. If y'all got any questions, need any clarity, most of y'all got my social media platforms, and a lot of y'all got my number. So any other questions, hit my line. This Monday, we got Bible Q&A. So if y'all got any questions, tap in a Bible Q&A, 7:30 Pacific Standard Time, 7:30 p.m. Make sure y'all lock in with us. Come through, ask your questions. We don't profess to know everything, but all praise to the Most High, we know enough. And the things that we don't know, we'll go and we'll research it and we'll bring it back to you for the next one, or we'll reach out to you via email, text message, whatever it is. But y'all tap into Q&A. Make sure y'all tap into the Daily Bread. Make sure y'all tapping into all of our classes. Tuesday, Bible Basic. Wednesday, World History According to the Bible. Second and fourth. Thursday, Stick to the Script. Friday, we got a 3-class lineup. The Blue Strip with Yashimai. Room 144 with the bishops, either Bishop Banaya or the head apostle Ashnapash, Bishop Izar. I think that's it, because Yashimai now has his own segment. And then Sound Doctrine. I forgot the name of my own segment. Sound Doctrine with myself and my brother Yahawadah. And then Saturday, y'all know what it is. It's the Archbishop himself, Bishop Tazayuan, feeding sheep. Man, we've been getting a string of real good lessons. This week, I think we getting, tomorrow is Teach Me How to Serve. But next week, I mean, we need to be in that class too, honestly, because a lot of us need to learn how to be servants of the Most High Yahweh Shai. So y'all make sure y'all tune into that. Feed your spirit. And next week, because for some weird reason, Israel just love all the extra deep mysticism, all of that, whatever. Do you have the mark of the beast? So we going into what is the mark of the beast next week. I got to double check the calendar, but I believe that's what we put on the calendar for next Saturday. So y'all tap in. We getting a string of really good, I guess, prophetic classes as people like to watch. But y'all make sure y'all tune in. Y'all tap in. All praise to the Most High. We give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh B'Hashem HaMashiach Yahweh Shai. Make sure that y'all tune in to Q&A. Listen to me, and listen to me. Get on Q&A and ask your questions, because I hate when y'all text me late at night or call me when I'm with my kids and I'm chilling and want to ask these questions, but on Q&A, you ain't got no questions. Get on Q&A and ask some daggone questions. Shalom, family. We love y'all. This is Brother Darash, my brother Yahawadah. Another segment of Sound Doctrine. We'll see y'all next week. Y'all make sure y'all tune in tomorrow for Feed the Sheep. All praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God. B'Hashem HaMashiach Yahweh Shai. We love y'all, Israel. Shalom.
It's Mention.